Welcome back to Casual Conversations with Mario Morrow. We're honored today to have one of the most distinguished individuals in the state of Michigan and the nation, but primarily your base is Detroit, Michigan, Bishop Edgar L. Vann. Thank you so much for coming.
The pleasure and the honor is mine, Mario.
And
Thank
behind
you.
that Vann is it two? It's Edgar Vann II.
It's two, and then there's one. There's a three.
There's a three.
But I'm the two.
But the main man, your father,
Right.
who was your predecessor,
Who was the senior?
at the pulpit.
Yes,
I want to
sir.
start there because you grew up in Detroit in a religious home,
Yes.
a home of faith.
Yes.
And a lot of people know your dad and knew of your dad, but really didn't know about him. So why don't we start there and just tell us a little bit about your mom and your dad and your upbringing.
Well, I did. I grew up in a pretty strict a religious home. My dad was a very sort of affable, quiet, unassuming, and yet quiet strength type of a leader. Quite unlike me. I'm a little more vocal and boisterous. But I learned so much from him. The wisdom that I think that I have, I learned from him. I watched him and what he did. His church was on Linwood Avenue there during the riots.
Linwood and?
Linwood between Cortland and Sturtevant.
Oh, yeah.
Right there during the '67 riot. That's some of my earlier recollections, and how he opened his church to the community during that time when there was martial law in the city, how he marched with Reverend Franklin and others in the '63 march,
Right.
Prior to the March on Washington, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just a lot of history, a lot of wonderful historic times that he was a part of, and a great leader by example.
Right.
And a great inspiration to me. My mother was a homemaker with great honor and respect. And she was sort of the disciplinarian in the home, and she kept everything running and
Right.
in order.
Right.
And that's the
Well,
way
I
it
know
was.
that. I know that area very well. I went to Longfellow Junior
Yeah,
High School.
I went to Longfellow at
And
one
we walked
point,
Linwood.
But then I went to Winterhalter after Longfellow. So I was in that
I didn't know you went to
community.
Longfellow.
Yeah, for many years, but of course I would be a bit before you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But,
Right.
But
Now, how did you end up? Because you're a Mustang, a Mumford Mustang. How did you end up?
Yeah.
Because it seems like Winterhalter. That's central
yeah.
territory.
Well, we moved from that central high school area to the northwest area, as many African Americans were doing at the end of the '60s, going into the '70s. So we moved over there, lived on Kentucky and Curtis.
Oh yeah.
Over there, walked to school every day.
Oh, you were in High Cotton.
Yeah,
Those are big
yeah,
houses
that's
over
what
there.
we thought.
Yeah.
And went over to Mumford. The really glorious days of my life. I had been double promoted, so I was a little younger than everybody, and so I actually entered the 9th grade at Mumford at 12 years old.
Wow.
And graduated at 16. But those were the 4 really fundamental years of my life. I think back then, Mumford was a tremendous foundation for not just education, but for culture, for activism.
Oh, it was highly concentrated with diversity, with
With the Jewish community.
population,
And then, of course, I'm a musician. So Mumford's music legacy
Right.
Was in full play when
Now
I
the
was
Winans
there.
are a little bit after you as well. I think.
Well, there was
when did you come out
David
of Mumford?
Winan. I came out in '72.
Okay.
So I came out with David Winans,
Okay.
the older brother. But of course, Marvin
was
and
74,
Ron and all of them were
74,
coming
75.
in. Yeah, but they came in
Yeah.
before I was gone. And of course, the Clark sisters and Earl Clue
Right.
On the jazz guitar,
Right.
and so many other wonderful
Carmen.
musicians.
Carmen
Carmen
Harlan.
Harlan.
Yeah.
I graduated with Donna Harlan, her
Yes,
sister.
yes.
Carmen was a year before us, and so it was a tremendous place where you saw African American excellence being created.
And I came out of Mumford in '77,
Yeah.
and I skipped the 11th grade, so we have a
Okay.
lot in common.
We do. We
Um,
do.
and I seem to be the youngest person in my class as well. Matter of fact, when I
Yes.
graduated, the last year, it's like, how are you graduating with us? Who are you? Who
That's
are
what
you?
people told me,
And most
yeah.
of the folks, because I grew up in the central area as well.
Okay.
That was our school of choice that we were supposed to go to. But the interesting part about that is that most of these folks went to school together. They went to
Oh,
Schultz,
yes.
they went to Bobby, and then they went
Yeah.
to, or McDowell, and then they went to Mumford.
Right.
And then, this guy shows up like, who are you? So, but Mumford was great. It was a great foundation. You seem to, matter of fact, they're naming courtyards after you, right?
I'm very, very proud of that and humbled by it. Yeah, a few years ago in the new complex that's there, that was dedicated in my honor, along with Bishop Ellis and Bishop Weiner.
It's like a sanctuary now.
Yeah.
All the bishops, named the
Yeah.
courtyard's named after the most prominent bishops in the city, which is a great tribute, and just also states that, public schools did well.
They did do well.
And did you meet the first lady, Sheila Vann, at Mumford? Did she go to Mumford?
No.
Or where did you guys meet?
No, she's a suburbanite from Highland Park.
Oh,
So-
you better not say that. We're going to cut that out. We don't want her to get mad at you.
She's a polar bear, But no, I met her in church, of course. And so that's how I got, I was actually playing for a church in Highland Park. And that's how I actually met her.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You started, playing a little Teddy Pendergrass at the church to get her attention.
Well, you know what? After church, I would sit there and play on the piano, and it had a Pied Piper effect.
All right. All right. That works. I didn't even know. So your instruments of choice are?
Keyboards.
Okay.
Yeah, keyboards
Right.
is what I've played ever since I was 4 years old.
Man, I've been to your church, both actually, before you were on West Grand Boulevard. For
East Grand Boulevard.
East Grand Boulevard for a long time.
Right.
Before you were able to and blessed to build this great, large facility on East McNichols, and I think
I-75.
I-75. But you've always been an inspirational, inspiring pastor, preacher, captivating to the audience. As a matter of fact, I was running a lot of political campaigns. As you know, we bring our political candidates in there, and sometimes it's like we got to hit several churches in a day.
Right.
None of the clients wanted to leave until after the message, which was a tribute and a compliment to you. What do you try to get across in your sermons on a weekly basis to your congregation?
That's a very good question. My sermons really normally revolve somewhere around personal growth and transformational change. So my interpretation of texts and other ways in which I approach Scripture are often somewhere in that context where there's something uplifting, something empowering, something encouraging for the listener personally.
Okay.
As I seek to have them identify with whatever's going on.
How does a sermon, how does that come to you? I mean, do you think about it over time, or does it just come to you like on Wednesday and say you start, scratching and scribbling? Like I read that Martin Luther King used to do, and he would just get this like thought in the middle of the night and just start writing out the sermon.
I think every preacher and even speaker who would not necessarily be a part of clergy is that way. I think that bursts of inspiration take place at all times of the day and night.
That's right.
That's why you have a phone right near you,
Right.
or something to write with right on next to the bed or whatever it may be, because you're always picking up anecdotes, and there's always an inspiration that goes with that, that inspires you as you look at just ordinary everyday life, to be in a position to make some principles applicable to the lives of the people that you're talking
And I was told that, sermons and writing you're writing it out for that Sunday is telling a story. There's a beginning, an end, and then you circle back to close it out.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much?
That is generally very, very true. I mean, it is storytelling. The Bible is a story. Faith is a journey. And so, yes, it is being able to tell a story, to put it together in a way, again, that is palatable to the lives of the people that you're talking to, that's relevant to the lives of the people that you're speaking with, in order that they might be able to unearth from your presentation principles to live by.
And do you sometimes know of a situation of members of your congregation that you want to directly speak to during that sermon? You say, okay, I know they're here, I know what they're going through, and I want to make this direct connection. Does that happen?
Yeah, of course. And sometimes it happens sort of supernaturally, sort of spiritually, in a way in which I'm led to talk about something that I'm not so well aware that it speaks directly to someone's situation, and they come to me afterwards.
Well, everyone in a lot of people in the congregation, when they're leaving, like, wow, how do you know? He's talking
Yeah,
to
right,
me, you know?
right.
So,
And that's why it has to be made applicable to life, because what you're really, really trying to do is make people stronger in weak and volatile times, and the crazy times in which we live, where people are facing all kinds of things on a personal level, on a family level, on a community level, on a world level, and be able to give them some tools to work with, some principles to work with, so that they're able to overcome the challenges